Alright guys, lethal lockdown match commentary predictions, in-depth predictions, and yeah, this is a steel cage match. Now unfortunately in this game you can't play, 10-man steel cage tag team matches. You can't even play, you can even have, more than 6 guys in the ring. So what I did is I made a tornado steel cage tag team match between both team leaders and, 2 of the members on both teams. That's the closest you can get, basically. Or I was gonna do just Garett Bischoff versus Eric Bischoff, but since it's supposed to be a team versus team match, I figured I'll at least get one teammate for each guy. So on one side you've got Team Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, his members are Gunner, as you can see in this video. He's also got Bully Ray, himself, Eric Bischoff, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian. So a heel team, basically, a team comprised of all bad guys. And then you've got Team Garett Bischoff, which is consisted of Garett Bischoff, AJ Styles, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Anderson, and Austin Aries, who just recently turned face, so that's why he's in the team. So yeah, Team Eric Bischoff. So basically Bischoff versus Bischoff, Bischoff versus Bischoff Jr. And there's a stipulation in this match. If Team Eric Bischoff wins, then Garett Bischoff has to leave TNA. Garett Bischoff will no longer be on the Impact Wrestling roster. But if Garett Bischoff wins, then not only does Eric Bischoff have to leave TNA, he's no longer in the Impact Wrestling roster, even though he's probably going to be working backstage, but we won't see him on TV. He also can no longer use the Eric Bischoff name, which I find a weird stipulation here, because I'm predicting that Garett Bischoff wins this match, but with such a stipulation that Eric can no longer use that name, that kind of makes me doubt. No, it doesn't make me doubt my decision, actually, because you look at both teams, and Garrett's team is a much stronger team in my opinion. You look at Eric Bischoff's team, you've got Bully Ray, he's a top main event heel, but apart from Bully Ray, the other guys, they're mostly mid-carders. Then you look at Garett Bischoff's team, AJ Styles, main eventer. Rob Van Dam, main eventer. Mr. Anderson, same thing. Austin Aries, he's not a main eventer, but he might soon be, and he's the X Division champion right now, so he's at the top of his division. But yeah, if Eric loses, he can no longer use the Eric Bischoff name. Here's the thing, though. I think Eric's gonna lose, but I think he's somehow gonna be able to use that name once again, because come on. How could Eric Bischoff not be able to use that name, forever? It's just it's just a wrestling stipulation. It's just a storyline. Either, he's just gonna ignore it and keep using the name, obviously, or, storyline-wise, they're gonna have Eric Bischoff come back somehow and get his name back somehow as well. And this isn't a normal steel cage match like all the other steel cage matches on the card. This is lethal lockdown. And the difference between that is Lethal Lockdown actually has some weapons in the steel cage. And what's funny about Lethal Lockdown is one team has the advantage. Not all guys get in the ring at the same time, right, at the beginning and right when the bell rings. No, one superstar from each team starts off. So let's say Garett Bischoff starts off for his team, and then let's say Gunner starts off for his team. And then what determines which superstar comes out next is they have a couple matches on Impact. Recently on Impact, it was a best-of-3 series, I think, and 2 members of Eric Bischoff's team won. So they're going to have the one-man advantage, or, the advantage going into that match. So what that means, the advantage is the third guy to get in the ring is going to be a part of Team Eric Bischoff. So they're going to have a 2-on-1 advantage for, a good while in the match. And then when somebody else from Team Garett Bischoff comes out, afterwards somebody else from Team Eric Bischoff is going to come out. So then it's going to be 3-on-1. And then it's going to be 4-on-3 and so on, until all 5 guys of each team come out. And yeah, well, like I was saying, what's funny is every single year the heel team gets the advantage. But it makes sense, they're the heels. So it makes sense, to have them double team the faces or have the advantage over the faces, but the faces could, overcome those odds. It doesn't make too much sense to see, you know, 2 faces or 3 faces double team or triple team, you know, some heels. So, you know, every single year, and I'm predicting this is going to be the same for every, you know, future year, for the future lockdowns, the heel team's always going to get that advantage where they're going to have, you know, 1 extra guy in the steel cage, you know, during the match until all 10 guys are in the ring. And also, I'd like to point out that I did make a mistake in the prediction game video, and somebody pointed that out too in the comment section. It's not Team... I said, you know, in the official prediction game video that this was Team Gunner versus Team Garett Bischoff. When and I thought it was weird that Gunner was the leader, but apparently Gunner is not the leader, so that's good. It didn't make too much sense to have Gunner as the leader of Team Eric Bischoff, and the opposing team has Garett as the leader. Makes a lot more sense to have Team Eric Bischoff versus Team Garett Bischoff. Basically, Bischoff versus Bischoff, Jr. versus, you know, father, whatever. And, you know, this whole storyline, Eric, Garett, it's just been boring to me. And hopefully this is the end, this Sunday's the end of this whole storyline, because it's just been boring as hell, you know. This whole storyline of Garett versus Eric, seems like they're just, you know, shoving Garett Bischoff down our throats and just want us to accept Garett Bischoff as the future of TNA or something like that. Garett Bischoff, I don't see anything in him. I don't know, he bores me. He's not entertaining. This whole storyline's been boring. This whole storyline just sucks. Every single time you get a Garett Bischoff segment, or a Bischoff, I mean, Garett or Eric Bischoff. Crap, what am I saying? Every single time you get a match of, you know, Garett Bischoff match, I fast forward that match. Or if it's a segment between Eric and Garett, I fast forward that too. It's just, you know, I really hope, you know, this Sunday's the end for this storyline. It's just ran its course. And what's funny is I think, like, nobody on their roster actually believes that Garett is the future. And at some point, I think it was either Sting or Hulk Hogan. One of those 2 guys said that, well, I think both those guys at some point said Garett is the future of TNA or something like that. But yeah, one of those 2 guys said it on Impact. And then Mickie James on her Twitter, she tweeted something like, "What did I just hear? Garett Bischoff is the future of this business or TNA." And even Scott Steiner lately, if you haven't, you know, been reading the dirt sheets or the news or whatever, or even checked out his Twitter. By the way, Scott Steiner is awesome. I should follow him on Twitter. I don't use Twitter much, but if I did, I would follow Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner is freaking awesome, freaking hilarious. I remember when he came back to TNA to help Kurt Angle, and, you know, we were supposed to get the Main Event Mafia reuniting to face off against Immortal. I was like, I was so hyped up. You know, I love the Main Event Mafia. That was like my favorite faction, my favorite stable in TNA. Apart from Samoa Joe, you know, just not belonging in that group and just joining randomly like that. Well, actually, it wasn't that random. He helped Kurt Angle win the title. But yeah, you know, Samoa Joe didn't make sense, you know, when he joined Main Event Mafia. It doesn't make any sense. It's a group full of veterans, legends, and stuff like that, and then Samoa Joe's in there. But anyways, yeah, man, I'm a big Scott Steiner fan, and then, you know, he had Booker T and Kevin Nash, you know, they joined, or, you know, made some appearance at the Royal Rumble. So the whole plan of Main Event Mafia just went away, and they went with Fortune instead, which didn't make any sense at all, because, like, for weeks, I think both Crimson and maybe Abyss too were warning Fortune. Oh no, Abyss was like actually a part of Immortal. Never mind. Crimson, I think, was warning Fortune and Immortal that they're coming. Actually, in the backstage segment, I think you had Crimson actually choking AJ and telling him they're coming. Warn, you know, your friends or whatever that they're coming, and he was choking AJ, and they ended up being freaking Fortune. So it just didn't make any sense at all. Anyways, I just got way off topic. As I was saying, Scott Steiner. So Scott Steiner lately on Twitter, he's been bashing TNA. No, he hasn't been bashing TNA, actually. He's been trying to save TNA. Well, that's what he's saying. I believe him. I believe Scott Steiner. He's been saying, you know, he's been bashing Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, saying, you know, you should switch your channel when they're on TV. So, you know, the ratings go down when they're on TV, and basically they get the message. He's been bashing Hogan, saying, actually, I don't even remember what he was saying exactly, but Scott Steiner as well is like, what the hell, you know, Garett Bischoff the future, and I think he said WTF at, you know, Garett Bischoff, or, you know, Hogan saying that Garett Bischoff is the future. So yeah, even Big Papa Pump doesn't like Garett Bischoff. And for those who don't know, he's been bashing Hogan and Eric Bischoff because he can right now. He's no longer in TNA, which kind of sucks because that means you can't see Scott Steiner on TV anymore. Some of you might not care, some of you might be happy, some of you don't like Scott Steiner. Actually, I like Scott Steiner. The thing is, I like Scott Steiner because he's funny on the microphone these days. In TNA, his mic work has been just hilarious. So, like, you know, I'm not a huge fan of him because of the ring work. It's more, you know, just him on the microphone. He's just funny on the microphone. I remember an interview in TNA. He was supposed to face Matt Morgan, and he had a backstage interview. And in the interview, he said, "I'm gonna go beat up Mike Morgan." He made a mistake. He said Mike Morgan, and then the interviewer, she said, "Oh, it's Matt Morgan," and then he says, Matt. It doesn't matter. I'll beat them both up," or something like that. It was actually on YouTube, but I think it got taken down or something. I can't find it anymore, which sucks. It was, you know, it was just a funny interview. So yeah, as you can see, Garett Bischoff is climbing out the ring. I don't know if Eric stops me, or I think I reverse. I'm pretty sure I do reverse. Do I? Let's see here. Oh yeah, I do reverse. And as you can see, RVD, my partner freaking ditched me. The CPU ditched me, but Gunner also ditched Eric Bischoff. And yeah, like I said in my tag team, you know, commentary between Samoa Joe and the Motor City Machine Guns, hopefully next year, in next year's game, they fix this steel cage tornado tag thing. Just take off. You can't even win by pinfall or submission, which is weird. You should put that on. But there was no option to put that on, actually. The only option was to win, actually, by climbing out the cage. So please, THQ, next year, for next year's game, or the one afterwards, put pin or submission on for steel cage tornado tag team matches. Or even better, why doesn't TNA make a new Impact Wrestling video game? Now, I know the first TNA Impact game wasn't exactly a success. Yeah, it kind of sucked, but the character models were great. The graphics were great. I mean, the thing that sucked was the story mode and I guess the call mode, you know, compared to WWE 12. But, you know, if we do have a TNA game, what's great about that is then THQ gets some competition, so we get better games. And that way, you know, the consumer has, you know, some choices. They can either choose the Impact Wrestling video game or the WWE video game, or both. And anyways, Lethal Lockdown, my prediction, Garett Bischoff should be a good match, since normally Lethal Lockdown matches are entertaining. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, join the Facebook fan page. The link will be in the description box. With that said, I'm out, guys. See you.